Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in a few minutes in our Trailblazers segment brought to you by OGPay.com. Today we're chatting with the amazing Jen Gottlieb, a powerhouse entrepreneur, author of the book Be Seen, host of the I Dare You podcast, and co-founder of the award-winning Super Connector Media. Now, with a successful 5-year stint as a VH1 host and career as a Broadway actress under her belt, Jen now teaches business owners how to build profitable brands through her online education, events, and training company. Her passion is to help entrepreneurs gain the confidence and skills required to make a splash in their industry. Through her sold-out events, online courses, and mentorship program, she has helped thousands of business owners, experts, doctors, and coaches become the recognized expert in their field. Now, when considering all the elements of your business brand, there are many avenues to explore: brand image, logo design, brand marketing, and brand influence. That's just to name a few. Powerful brands are more likely to be chosen by consumers through the loyalty and recognition of their very name. This is why brand power can be a lot more important than product power, and why focusing on building a recognized brand is key for success. Today, we're chatting how to increase your popularity, get noticed, and reach your true potential as a brand and entrepreneur. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Jen Gottlieb. Welcome to the show, superstar.
I am so excited to be here, Zen. I love this Jen and Zen vibe we've got going. It's going to be awesome. Very happy to be here.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. So you're a very powerful, sought-after speaker. You've shared the stage with top thought leaders and celebrities, including the very famous Gary Vee and Snoop Dogg and even Martha Stewart. And your work has been featured in major publications. You were recently named one of the top 50 speakers in the world, and your company, Super Connector Media, was listed on the INC 5000 list of the fastest growing private companies in America. Jen, what is the key to getting noticed and being seen as per your book, Be Seen?
The key, the number one thing that you always need to remember when you're starting to build a brand or be seen or be noticed is it all starts with the mindset. It all starts with the mindset. You could know all the tools, all the strategies to build your brand and to get yourself out there. You could know how to write the greatest captions. You can start to use artificial intelligence to create amazing captions. It's really easy nowadays with the strategy. But the thing that holds the most people back is always the lack of confidence. Always. I speak to some of the most successful people in the world, people that have billion-dollar businesses that are doing things on an epic, huge scale. And they still say to me, Jen, I haven't made video. I haven't put myself out there because I'm really afraid of what other people will think. I'm afraid of it not being perfect enough. I'm afraid of it not being good enough. And what I remind them is that it's your responsibility to be seen. If you have a service or a story or a product that helps somebody, that can help people, if they can't find you, they're going to go buy from someone else or listen to someone else that's not as good as you and doesn't care as much as you, simply because you're too insecure of what you look like or what you sound like. And the truth is, a powerful brand is one that can truly connect with other humans. And people like to connect with people that they can relate to. So the more imperfect and the more messy and the more you share who you truly are, the faster your brand will build and the easier it will be when it comes to the mindset about the whole thing, about putting yourself out there and being more confident doing it.
I love it. That's some great advice, and truly from the heart, and spoken from the heart too, because you're right. Transparency, putting yourself out there, is probably key to why people will be able to relate with you more than anything else. Now let's chat brand power. So, which is essentially, when we say brand power, the ultimate sway your business will have in its chosen market per se, right? So this involves thinking about how your business can create a product or service worth having, and the power your business has to make that product worth much more than competitors in a crowded market. What is your advice here?
So if you think about what a customer's doing when they're seeking out a brand or a product to buy or a service that they want to use, they're going to do one thing first. They're going to Google. They're going to go online, and they're actually subconsciously searching for three things: credibility, influence, and authority. I call it CIA. They want to make sure that the brand that they're choosing is credible, because there's a lot of people on the internet right now saying that they're great. And they're not necessarily great. They aren't really necessarily doing the thing that they say that they're doing. So people are searching for trust, and credibility is trust. So credibility meaning being featured on major media platforms, being featured on big podcasts, being featured in publications or even on television or anywhere where you can be featured by somebody that is already trusted and has really good credibility themselves. For you to get borrowed credibility and borrowed influence from them is unbelievably important when it comes to building brand. And then you want to create authority and you want to build an audience by giving lots of value. People are going to search Instagram, social media, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of the places, Google, online, to see if you're the recognized expert. And recognized experts, people that build powerful brands, are always giving value in their expertise. They're showcasing how good they are. They're showcasing their case studies. They're showcasing their credibility. They're creating more authority by flashing that badge, showing, listen, I was featured here. I was on this podcast. I'm good enough to be here. And that just makes people feel more comfortable when they start to sign up for their services or buy their products. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging all of these other audiences to build your credibility. And that is going to differentiate you from any other person trying to build a brand out there in a similar industry that you're in.
You're 100% right. And the reason understanding why brand power is important for your business is because effective branding is what's going to elevate your company above the rest, drawing focus on what your brand has to offer in that unique way. And whatever makes your business brand unique is going to be the power you have in the market landscape. So I totally agree with what you're saying. I echo your sentiment. You're preaching to the choir. Now, we all know someone with that it factor, right? It's someone who's personal charisma and appeal make them stand out. There's just something about them that's just absolutely magnetic, kind of like what you got going on. They draw the attention and desire of people around them seemingly without any conscious effort. And you have shared the stage with some of the biggest business names in the world. How does one go about establishing their quote unquote it factor?
Well, thank you, Zen. You also have mega it factor, and I felt it the second that I walked in the room. And here is how you can tell if somebody has it factor. Here's how you can embrace your own it factor, because we all have it. We all have it inside of us. I think just some people are too shy to let it fly, to let it out there, because at some point in time in our lives, maybe somebody said to us, you should really be quiet. You should really not stand like that. You shouldn't dress like that. You shouldn't speak that loudly. You should really be polite. And over time, we start to downplay who we truly are, and we actually kind of hide our it factor and we don't let it shine. And that's totally normal. We're conditioned to do that as kids, many of us. But what I would recommend for all of you to do to re-engage with your it factor is to tap into that uniqueness that is you, that you possessed when you were a really little kid, when you didn't care what anybody else thought. And to be loving and kind and open and truly want to connect with others. So when I walked in the room, when I walked into the studio, Zen, you were just like, oh my God. You gave me the biggest hug. You just wanted to connect with me. You were you. There was no mask on. There was no hiding behind something that you tried to be. It was just you. And that's why I felt like I could deeply connect with you. And I felt an energy and it factor from you because you were just being Zen. You weren't trying to be like anybody else. And people can feel that. It's an authenticity that comes from that true you that's deep within you that you had since you were a little kid. And if you can tap back into that person, who that person was before the conditioning happened, before they told you what you should be like or what you should think or how you should sound, and be the most you that you can possibly be, that's when you will be unique, you'll stand out, and you'll have that energy that people will want to be around.
Preach. You said it, sister. Amen to that. Look at you. You summed it up perfectly. And it's more like the invisible thing a person has that makes them stand out in a crowd. It's invisible, really. It's not because they talk loud like or look like a supermodel or do things that draw attention to themselves. To your point, it's actually confidence with humility and a genuine interest in others. Like, I'm genuinely interested in what you're saying. I was genuinely interested in what you were posting when I stalked you on Instagram. I was genuinely wanting you to come here and share your knowledge and your expert insight on how you made it and how others can model your behavior and how others can have it all just the same way you've had it, and you've worked really hard to get there. It just didn't happen overnight. So now let's chat becoming an expert, because this is extremely important. I love what you're saying. So expertise is what separates the amateur from the true master in almost any field, right? From medicine to science to sports to artistic performance. And the question of whether experts are born or made is related to the age-old nature versus nurture debate in psychology. Now, do genetics or experience play more of a role in shaping who we are? So there has been a considerable amount of attention paid to the made, quote unquote, aspect of the debate. And according to many researchers, expertise is acquired through dedicated practice. but how exactly does someone go about becoming that expert? So you advocate for this concept in all your courses. So tell us, how does one go about transforming and manifesting into the expert they ought to be in their field?
It's by doing consistently. It's by practicing and getting those hours in, getting those reps in. Just like when you go to the gym and you work out, when you first start, you can't lift heavy weights. But if you consistently go for month after month after month after month, you're going to be lifting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier because we get good at what we practice. And the really important thing is I think that what separates very successful people from people that kind of just stay the same when they hit a certain level is very successful people don't ever think that the practice ends. If you think about professional athletes, the greats, the goats, the greatest of all times, Michael Jordan, up until the very end of his career, or even at the peak of his career when he was crushing it, he was still practicing more than anybody. You would think that when you're that good, the practice lessons, it actually increases. So people that come to me and tell me that they want to be a speaker, they ask me, what do I need to do to become a great speaker? I'm like, you need to get on every single stage that you can possibly get. In fact, we all have a stage now with our phones. We have a stage in our pocket. So for me, I mean, I speak on huge stages, but I'm still practicing every single day in the way of going live on social media every day because I'm getting my reps in. I'm practicing talking about my content. The practice never ends. The better that you get, the more that you practice, the more reps you get. And that's how you become an expert. And that's how you separate yourself from the people that are pretty good at what they do to the greatest of all time, which is what anyone that's listening to this podcast right now, I'm sure wants to be. So it's all about practicing. And the more that you do it, the more clear you're going to get in the next direction of where you're supposed to go. Another question I get asked all the time is, Jen, I don't know what the next step is. And people spend way too much time sitting around trying to think about what the next step is. But I always say, like, clarity doesn't come from sitting around and thinking about it. Clarity actually comes from action.
Yep.
It comes from practicing, from doing, from failing, from winning, from messing up, from falling on your face. That's how you get clear on what the next step is. So the way to become great is to do and to consistently take action.
You said it. And, when you look at it in retrospect, knowledge, skill, and achievement are all critical components of expertise. And people who become experts, to your point, tend to acquire a body of knowledge that just makes them one of the most informed individuals in their field. They also possess the skills that they need to determine when and how, and this is key, to use their knowledge. Sure, such skills are, often learned, but they can also be influenced by natural talent and ability, right? And in fact, people who possess expertise also tend to achieve far above and beyond what the average person does. So we know this by statistics. They not only possess knowledge and skill, they also put their talents and know how to work, to your point. So it's extremely important to not only, be that expert, but to practice, and actually put your money where your mouth is, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, you're a true New Yorker, and at heart, you share a beautiful home here in Manhattan with your hubby, Chris. I read all about him and your 3 adorable dogs. I have a dog, too. His name is Elvis. He's a Shih Tzu.
Oh, I love that.
And you are a successful public figure and an acclaimed book author, right? Your book is amazing. I skimmed through it 3 nights ago, and I was like, wow, she's on it. Now, what advice do you have to your younger self?
All right, we were creating some content in the car on the way here, which I'll always multitask. If I'm doing something, I always have a videographer with me to create content all the time. That's another tip for brand building. But I actually was talking about this and the advice that I would give to my younger self. And I would tell young Jen, you need to stop caring what other people think. Because what other people think is absolutely none of your business, number one. And number two, we think that people are so focused on what we're doing and we think that they're judging us all the time, but they're not. They're spending their time worrying about them, judging themselves. Everyone's just thinking about themselves. They're not worried about you. And we spend so much time holding ourselves back and worrying about other people and what they're going to think of us if we're seen, if we're visible, if we say something, if we make ourselves known. We don't want to make anybody feel bad, or we don't want to make anybody judge us, or we're scared that they're going to think that we look a certain way. And if we took that energy that we spend caring about what other people think, and we spent it on loving on ourselves and building our brand and building our business and building our relationships and being intentional in where we spend our time to create the life that we imagine, our lives will change. We'll be more fulfilled people. But it's today's day and age with really caring. And now it's with social media, but when I was younger, we still did it. It was just in other ways.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. And at the end of the day, what we have to keep in mind and keep focused here is that if you are going to be, a public speaker, if you are going to be an expert in your field, if you are going to be a leader, if you're going to be a boss, whatever you're going to label yourself, it needs to come from a place of confidence. You need to own that role. You need to own that title. You need to go out into the world and tell yourself, I'm manifesting, and this is who I am, and put it out there. And then you command that respect and you will receive it. But if you go out there and you peg yourself as an expert or somebody that you're not, people are not dumb. They catch on really quickly and they'll take you apart. So you have to actually put in the work and be consistent and show the world that, this is my window, because people judge a book by its cover. Everything that glitters is gold in this vain world that we live in. But sadly, we only get one bite at the apple. So I always tell my daughter, and I tell everybody around me, you only get one shot to make a great first impression. When preparation meets opportunity, that's when you get to success.
Yes, I love that. Luck is what happens when preparation meets the moment of opportunity. And I always like to remember that you attract what you are. So people ask us all the time, how do I attract an audience that I love? Like, you can attract two different types of audiences. So I was on VH1 for 5 years, and I was on a TV show all about heavy metal music. And I didn't like heavy metal music, but I was pretending to be a girl that did, because I was on this show and I had this part and it was a great gig. So I put on this role that I was this super metal girl. So what I did as being this metal chick is I attracted an audience full of people that absolutely loved heavy metal music. And before I knew it, I had built this brand with this audience that didn't align with who I really was. So the fastest way to build a business or a brand that you don't like is to be someone that's inauthentic to who you really are.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
be you. We're out of time. It was incredible chatting. I could talk to you all day. It's amazing. You'll come back. We'll talk some more. We'll do some more powwow sessions here and motivate people listening. But you are absolutely fantastic.
You're fantastic. I'm so grateful that we did this. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, that was our Trailblazer segment brought to you by OGPay.com. That was the amazing Jen Gottlieb, a powerhouse entrepreneur, author of book Be Seen, host of the I Dare You podcast, and co-founder of Super Connector Media. Head directly to her website at jengottlieb.com. That's JenGottlieb.com, at Jen_Gottlieb. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.